Let's talk NFL playoffs for a couple of minutes. Brad Sussmat with you. Pros 2 Preps, PROS, the number 2preps.com. Great Monday. Spotlight on what a fabulous weekend of football it was, and a look ahead to 2 games that on paper look terrific. NFL Network and Valley resident Kurt Warner, nice enough to join us for a couple of minutes. Best game for you over the weekend?
Best game? Wow. A lot of great games. I would probably say that the Denver-Baltimore game for me was the best game. Just that going back and forth, you really didn't have an idea. Some of the other ones I think were good games, but more definitive until Seattle came back late yesterday, but more definitive than that game. That game was fun because really had me nervous as it was coming down to stretch. Really wasn't sure who I was pulling for, but was nervous for both teams on what might happen. And so that, to me, made it a great football game.
The quarterback whose play surprised you the most from over the weekend?
I think you probably have to say Colin Kaepernick. And not that I didn't think he could do the things that he did, but to the level that he did, and to do it both running and passing as effectively as he did. It was probably the most impressive quarterback performance of the weekend, and to think that would come from him as opposed to an Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning or Tom Brady is crazy. So to me, that was the most impressive.
How about Matt Ryan, though, Kurt, just getting the monkey off his back down in Atlanta?
That was great, and what I loved is how they came out of that game. I really felt like they were going to have to start fast in that game, and they did exactly that. I love how they attacked the corners, and especially Richard Sherman when everybody thought, stay away from him, try to find other ways. They attacked him. They made big plays early, which is something that they haven't done, really effectively the last few years. So I really loved the way that he played, and then obviously what he did at the end, which he's done all year long, 7 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter, and to make another one when, up 20 points in the fourth quarter and to give it all away, and then still have the wherewithal to make those 2 pass plays and get his team back in position to win. Definitely an impressive win for them.
Kurt Warner with us. Okay, so let's stick with quarterbacks. When Peyton Manning throws the interception, what did you see? What was your reaction?
My reaction was simply just, that's un-Peyton Manning-like. Of all the things that you saw, maybe it wasn't his best day, but for him to be rolling right, I think understanding the circumstances and to throw back across his body that's just not like him. That just wasn't a decision that I would normally expect from him, and not that he's immune to it, and not to beat him up over it, because we've all made those decisions and made those kinds of throws. That just surprised me. He usually avoids those kind of mistakes, and just felt like maybe he was trying to press a little bit and really felt like they needed to make a play and made a bad one. And on top of that, wasn't a real good throw, and unfortunately went the other direction.
Does he make that throw 5 years ago?
I think he makes a better throw there. But again, we're all speculating. I mean, did any of this have to do with his arm? Very likely. We know he was wearing the gloves because his arm wasn't quite there. It's 13 degrees. He's standing on the sideline a lot with 2 kick returns. A lot of things could have played into this. But at the same time, I don't want to put that on him or make excuses there that aren't there. So I think it's likely that could have been the case. But at the same time, it could have very easily been just a bad throw in that situation.
I think the number that surprises me most, Kurt, from the weekend, Joe Flacco gets his 5th road playoff victory. And when you consider that, and all the criticism that Joe Flacco has taken over the years, to me, that's the stunning number of the weekend.
Yeah, a little bit. But, for me, it doesn't completely surprise me. Joe's one of those guys that, you always have different kinds of quarterbacks. And we have some of those quarterbacks that are extremely consistent, and they play extremely well during the regular season. And, some that play great in the playoffs and some that don't quite play as well in the playoffs. Joe's kind of the opposite of that, where he's kind of up and down during the regular season. I think for his career, he's been a 60% passer, throughout the regular season. But he seems to be one of those guys that can step up and make plays in big moments and make big plays. Over the last 3 years in the playoffs, going into yesterday, I think he was 12 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Last 2 games, he's outplayed Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in playoff games. I mean, this kid rises to the occasion, and he may not be able to do everything those other guys do, but he finds ways to make big plays. So I can't say that I was surprised at the plays that he made. I think I was more surprised that Denver gave him those plays. If I'm playing against Joe Flacco, I'm saying, okay, I'm not going to let you use your big arm and beat me. I'm going to make you drive 80 yards and make the consistently good throws in the intermediate range to beat me, because I think that's where he struggles more so than down the field. And Denver gave him, big play after big play after big play, and that was the difference in the game.
NFL Network's Kurt Warner, Valley resident with us, Brad Sussmat, Pros 2 Preps, Extra Sports 910. Ray Lewis, just the storyline and seeing him out on the field, to me, obviously, it's the feel-good story of this whole postseason. But do you believe that there is more to what Ray Lewis is doing to motivate his Ravens team? Some people say yes. Some people say that stuff's overrated. What about you?
I think it kind of depends on who the players are. I think there's always players in locker rooms that need motivation, that you can play to that part of their game to get them excited or to kind of to rally the troops. And then I think there's other players in positions, specifically like the quarterback. I mean, I never played on emotion. I played on preparation. That, I wasn't going to go into a game and get too high or too low because that affected me negatively or, either way, it affected me negatively. So it was about being even keel and not worrying about the emotions. But, I'm sure there's a part of everybody in that organization and locker room that would love to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl for Ray Lewis. What he's meant to that organization, what he's meant to our league, the way he's played at such a high level. And, and the amazing thing is that even now, he's not the same guy that he was before, but just being out there, he's making plays. And it's almost like he's playing better, during this stretch. And since he announced his retirement, than he's maybe played the last couple of years. And so maybe it's playing emotionally to his benefit as much as it is to everyone else on that team.
Sideline to sideline, he's not the same guy, but when you look at the number of plays and just the sheer impact, that's what you're saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
17 more tackles.
Right.
And even though, they may not be behind the line of scrimmage, maybe they're 4 or 5 yards down the line of scrimmage, just to see him out there, like you said, going sideline to sideline, playing 87, 90 plays 2 weeks in a row, coming off an injury. Those kinds of things, it's amazing how that can lift up another player when they're watching a guy like that do it, and you go, well, how can I not do it? How can I not give a little extra effort when I watch what this guy's doing?
Before I let you go, a couple other questions. Anything obvious to you in these 2 coming games in the championship games?
I think the one obvious thing in the NFC is the line of scrimmage. San Francisco, I think, is the best team in the league up front on both sides of the ball. They dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And that's going to be, I think, a true test for Atlanta. Can they find ways to figure that out? I mean, they ran so well yesterday. Can they find a way to dominate that defensive line and run the football even fairly well to open up the passing game? And then on the other side of the ball, where they've struggled is stopping the run and really up front. And so, if San Francisco can oppose their will there, it could be a tough game for Atlanta. And then on the other side of things, I think that the big thing that stands out is what New England does with their hurry-up, no-huddle. We saw it we've seen it give everybody fits, but we saw it give the Texans fits yesterday. They had no idea. They were out of position. They had guys running wide open because they didn't know where to line up and where they should be. And that's going to be a real test for the Ravens, with all the plays they've played and traveling again, just being up on in a short week, how to prepare for all that stuff. So those are, to me, the 2 things that I'm watching for, and to see if, the defenses of those 2 teams could kind of step up to that challenge.
Before you get out of here, what's your gut say on the Cardinal coaching spot? What do you hear? What do you think?
I can't say that I've heard a whole lot other than I think what everybody has heard. I really kind of felt from the beginning with Ray Horton in place, not that he wouldn't be a great head coach, but with him in place, I really kind of felt that they were going to try to lean towards the offensive side. If they could go hand-pick a guy that they felt could help transform this offense to go along with Ray Horton's defense, that's the direction that they would go. So I could see a Mike McCoy, who's done a great job with a couple different quarterbacks over the last few years and had a lot of success. I wouldn't be surprised with Todd, knowing the success that he's had from an offensive perspective and knowing him and him having the rapport with certain players, especially offensive players on this football team. I could see that in the mix too, but I would be surprised if they lean towards defense, if there's one of these, good offensive coaches that can be had.
Have they called you at all? I mean, any of these
No.
guys, have you called them and said, hey, you might want to consider this guy? Or
No, I haven't. I always make myself available if I can ever help with, different coaches that are out there. There's a number of them with Coach Wiz and, Todd's name out there and Lovie Smith, and always let them know, hey, if I can ever be a reference and talk to somebody, I'm open to do that. And obviously open to always talk about other guys and situations as well, but have not talked to the Cardinals about their coaching search at all.
anything with your foundation, anything coming up you're going to release at the Super Bowl? Or
Nothing at the Super Bowl. Our next big thing is our big fundraiser, Ultimate Football Experience, that we have coming up in March, that we're always excited about. So if anybody wants to get involved, come out and join us for some fun couple days of football with some NFL greats. They can go to my website at kurtwarner.org and find out all the details and all the information there.
And that's one that we've been out through the years. It's a great event, kurtwarner.org. Appreciate your time as always. Thanks.
You bet. Thanks, Brad.
See you.